anything. And to that end, you should walk around every day going, I'm a healthy, happy human being. Because by the way, I challenge almost everyone I've ever met. I've met tens of thousands of people and done all these exercises. I ask somebody about their body. The first thing they do is complain about the size of their thighs, their cottage cheesy. Great. Guess what? You're complaining about your body and the universe will take it away from you. So you have to be blissfully ignorant to manifest. Okay? Because it's not real.
Welcome to the Dr. Ashley Show.
Welcome to the Dr. Ashley Show. I'm Dr. Ashley, and today I'm excited to have a guest on this episode with Dr. Forbes Riley. Dr. Forbes Riley is a celebrity TV host, motivational speaker. She's shared the stage with Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, Mel Robbins, Jay Shetty, and many more. Her signature training program is called the Forbes Factor Live. She designed it to help entrepreneurs and business owners not only make money, but heal their lives so they can live in a healthy, holistic way. In addition, her passion has led her down the path of health and fitness. In 2010, she was inducted into the National Fitness Hall of Fame. Welcome to the show, Dr. Forbes Riley. Forbes, I am so grateful for you coming on the Dr. Ashley Show. Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, same. And you know what? I coordinated my background to look good with your shirt.
I know, it does. It matches. Well, you've been in the fitness industry for a long time, a celebrity TV host, a motivational speaker. I would love for you to just share with us a little bit about your story. And then I want to spend some time with you on the topic of manifestation. I think that it's so pertinent when it comes to weight loss. I know you're an expert in it. So I want to make sure that we dive deep into manifestation as we go.
Well,
here.
we can start with that because my name is about manifestation. So we call it in my world, I Forbesed something. To Forbes something means to manifest it, to make it real, especially when no one else thinks it's possible. And that is, in fact, the story of my entire life. I grew up as a goofy little looking kid when I was younger. I had an odd broken nose and I had braces. And for 2 years of my life, I couldn't talk because my tongue was in my mouth by my brilliant orthodontist. And so I was this very recluse little kid and very smart. So I saw things. I was top of my class, but I was insanely lonely. I watched a lot of television and movies, and I don't complain because I got an education that most people will never get. I was taught to dream. I was taught that you could live on Mars and, be on a spaceship that goes inside a human body, because all of those things in my world, or Bewitched, made things real. The problem was I also ascribed to Disney and rom-coms and thought, well, some beautiful guy is just going to come along and save me. Well, here's the irony of that statement. Dr. Ashley, have you seen my husband?
I haven't seen him.
Well, all right. I'm going to share with you that I was married for a long time, the father of my kids, and we went through something very traumatic. We raised a little boy for 12 years who was murdered in Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
Yes, it took its toll on us and our relationship, and we are still great friends, but we found ourselves drifting in different directions. Mm-hmm. And then I raised our kids. We raised our kids. They're 21 now. I have twins, boy-girl twins. And I then said, it's time for me to be happy. And I think that's true for a lot of people. And I said, I want a partner who is strong and virile, but who also rolls over in the morning, and with my mascara down my face and my hair looking frizzy, my breath smelling like ass, says, oh my God, you're the most beautiful woman in the world and I love you. Mm-hmm. And when Joshua did that exact thing, my world stopped. I didn't realize, he did that, which is crazy. But I also said I wanted someone who looks like he walked off the cover of a romance novel.
Okay.
I got that from a friend of mine because that's what she said about her husband. Mm-hmm. I put that at the top of my list. And then I just thought about it like I do with everything else in terms of manifestation. And this is my current husband. And I get to go home to him every night and every morning wake up to this man telling me that I'm insanely beautiful. And I'm 17 years old. Here's the crazy thing. Ashley, I wanted it. I spent a lifetime, and we'll talk about some of the things that I've done. I mean, I've been an actress. I still am an actress. I just finished starring in a feature film, playing the bad girl. It's an action-packed Western movie, and I'm the villain.
I can't wait to see it.
I know it's coming out in April. It's called Black Creek. I manifested the life that I dreamed of because I was tired of suffering and playing small. Mm-hmm. And that's where I am now.
So you got started in manifestation when you were a young girl, just because of the way and where life put you.
I wanted to be James Bond when I was little. That was my declaration. Nobody told me that you needed to think about who you want to be. I just knew that I wanted to be him. I wanted to have adventures. I wanted to travel around the world. I wanted to fancy cars and beautiful gowns and whatever it was in his whole world. I didn't want to be a Bond girl. And I have since led a life of adventure, and I've done some espionage type stuff that part of my, you'd be surprised what you can do. I got my pilot's license at 15. I mean, I've done some crazy things. I've scuba dived around the world. I remember standing at the top of a mountain skiing thinking, James Bond would do this. And that was the first manifestation. And then other things started to happen in my life. And I think we all manifest because everything that you see, touch, feel, or experience in life is a manifestation of someone. Someone designed this cup about Paris with a certain kind of handle to it. Somebody made my microphone. It was a dream on a piece of paper before it became a reality. And so to think that anything less than that, JFK looked at the sky and said, I want to go to the moon before the Russians. There's no stairway to the moon. What was he saying? And that led a pathway of people to glom onto his dream. And I believe that everything that we do, and I make movies and television. You write a storyboard before it happens, which means you manifest it. You write it down, what it should look like, what you dream it to be, and then you go shoot it. And then you go watch what you drew, which you shot. It's like, wow. And so for anyone to think that manifestation is real, I'm so sad for them. I really am. Because the cool thing that I think you're touching upon is that you can manipulate what you manifest. You can write something down that is not true today and future pace it and say, that is my life. In fact, that's one way that we talk about journaling. We don't write, I want this and I want that. No, I already have that. How wonderful is my life? And so when I talk about women who are, in particular women, but anyone looking for a partner, I said, imagine the partner's in the other room. What does he look like? What does he smell like? What does he do? What kind of laundry does he have? If you can figure out all those things, that man will or woman will appear for you, because that seems to be the way it works. Actually, have you experienced that?
Oh, yes. I'm a true believer. One of my favorite quotes is by Bob Proctor, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
I've got Bob spin gymming with me.
He said, what you can hold in your head, you can hold in your hand. And I just love that so much. And that's how PhD weight loss has come to fruition. All of my brick and mortar locations, I see it in my head. And it just fills my heart when I actually see it in reality. So can you walk us through how to manifest? What are the steps?
Okay, wait, before we get to that, hang on a second. I'm just going to delight you to no end, because I have a fitness product. We all know about my spin gym. And this is the man that she's talking about. This is Bob Proctor.
About a year ago, I was in Los Angeles at an event speaking, and a few days later, I found myself in Cedars-Sinai Hospital in open heart surgery. I come that close to leaving the planet. Well, I was wanting to get into an exercise program after I recovered from that about 4 months later, and my cardiologist, Dr. Norman Lepore, he said, absolutely no way. No lifting anything heavy. Well, here a couple of weeks ago, I was at a fundraiser. I was having dinner at a fundraiser in Los Angeles with the Cynthia Kersey Foundation, and a lady walked in. Her name was Forbes Riley. And she walked in and she started to do this. This is a spin gym. And she started to tell us, I thought that's rather cute, and she started to tell us all the things you could do with this. And she said, just practice it. And she had me doing things, holding my leg out, holding this above my head, holding it right out in front. And I started to...
How small a world is that?
I have goosebumps right now. You know Bob Proctor, and I listen to his abundance meditation all the time.
I not only knew him, that man believed in me. We were friends, as I am with Les Brown and Sharon Lecter and Deepak Chopra and lots of the other big people in this world, because I decided to. I decided that my life needed to matter, because for a long time I didn't matter to anyone. And I teach this now. I teach breakthrough training. I teach the beginning, and somebody obviously taught this to you, Ashley. But what made you call it PhD weight loss? Why is that important to you?
Well, PhD stands for Performance Health Diet. And,
okay.
My PhD also is in sports nutrition and chronic disease. And so I started PhD working with a lot of athletes and helping them optimize their performance, optimize their body composition. And then I understood what had the significant impact on these athletes had a more profound impact on those of us struggling with excess body fat. We know that 88% of us in the US are metabolically unwell. 42% of us are obese. And so I felt this purpose and this passion to help those of us who are suffering. Kind of like you, similarly, to empower people to step up and live the best life possible. And I believe that we can't do that if we don't have our physical shape. We're physical beings here on this earth. And if we don't take care of the vehicle, then we just can't fully experience life. And I want to help people experience life to the fullest.
Well, what I'm excited about, and for everyone watching me, we have a lot of people now watching on Facebook, is that you and we're going to shoot a spot about what you're up to and really promote your whole philosophy. And you personally look great. Was there, and I don't want to be the one to interview, I can have you back on my podcast, but what was the thing that turned around? Because for me, I was bullied. I was overweight my whole life. My mom was 260 pounds. It was challenging. I was made, especially when I got to New York and being on Broadway, everybody was 15 to 20 pounds thinner than average. Mm-hmm. And I was 15 pounds over average, which meant I looked kind of okay for a human. But on television, if you weren't gaunt and stick thin, and I'm telling you what, I was on a soap opera called As the World Turns in the early 70s. And I stood next to Meg Ryan and Julianne Moore, who were my co-stars. And they were this, I'd say they were this, and I was this. Mm-hmm. Well, mice are very important, but comparatively, I was like, whew, and I look at America Ferrera now, who's a little bit chunkier than Margot Robbie, and we love her. That did not happen in my era. And you were made to feel bad. When I did a Broadway show and they assigned me to go to Weight Watchers, Overeaters Anonymous.
No.
No, they did. Oh, I got crucified for my weight. Let me tell you something. I went through so much negativity, and it wreaked havoc with me. Let's just say that.
Well, my story is similar to you, and I understand how you feel. I was a professional ballet dancer. So you can take everything that you said and just double it there onto my story.
They don't want bodies. They want human sticks. And nowadays, by the way, have you looked at the difference between when you were a dancer and what's out there now?
Yeah, it's not the same environment at all.
There's some philosophy going on that little girls don't have hips. They're like kicking over their head backwards beyond. In our days, we strived for that split. You finally got that, or you got your leg up there. But now, and then I'm watching these little girls do like 20 pirouettes. I'm like, all right, I'm so glad I'm not a kid right now.
It's true. Yeah, I feel sorry for my daughter. She's 5. She's got a lot to step into.
Now, what did you eat when you were a ballerina?
Oh, I counted calories like crazy. I remember going through days when I was, dancing 8 hours a day, and I would count fat grams. I thought if you ate fat, you would get fat. I was vegetarian. I didn't eat red meat. I would have 5 grams of fat a day and feel real proud. Still, though, fighting for my weight. I was told I was fat. I mean, it did a lot of damage on my body. I was injured all the time, stress fractures. I was always dancing injured.
How much did you weigh back then?
Well, I went high and low. I mean, and again, like you said, I wasn't high where if I was in a group that you would notice that. But for my sport, I wasn't chosen to perform in the lead roles. I would range from 115 when I was really lean, 112 pounds, which was not healthy, up to around 140 or so.
How tall are you? Well, how tall are you?
Just around 5'7".
Yeah, that's as thin as you can possibly, before you start losing your period.
Yeah. The 112 was not good, but that was when I would get the roles. So I was just always battling that. And I was selected to perform up in New York City, the Joyce Theater. You've probably been there.
Yeah.
Yep. And I thought this was a once in a lifetime experience, but instead of finding myself in the spotlight, I landed in the ER. I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't know what's going on. Had a whole bunch of medical tests done, and the doctors just said, you're underfed, you're overexercised, and you have to stop dancing. You cannot continue to do that. That was a big deal for me. That was like Michael Phelps in the Olympics and being pulled off starting his swim. It was what I did since I was 3. I went to boarding school for it. It was my identity. So that was a really tough time for me. And that's when I really had to step back and decide what I wanted to do in my life, for my purpose. And I understood how significantly nutrition impacted my own sport performance. So I went back to school and started to work on that and study how can we drop weight in a healthy way? How do we support our metabolism, not just ruin it like I did? And then I understand that 80% of any change, like we're about to talk about, comes from the mind.
Yes.
Habits, behaviors, we have to focus on that. So at PhD, we are largely behavioral. We talk about visualization. I just like you said, in imagining your spouse, what do they smell like, look like, feel like, what are they wearing? I help people with when they're stuck in a weight loss plateau that they think, oh gosh, I need to change what I'm eating. I need to eat differently. And I have them sit down and visualize what their goal weight looks like, feels like, smells like, who they're with, what they're doing. And that allows the door to open so that their physical body can walk into
Okay,
that.
do you have access? Have you seen my fitness product?
I've seen it, but I don't have one.
All right, so Ashley, you're gonna have to send me some information here. Where are you located?
In Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay, so I'm heading up. I'm speaking in Charlotte coming up very soon. Is
Oh
that
my
near you?
gosh. Yes, I have an office there. I'll come to see
There
you.
you go. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll send you one before that. This little
Okay.
crazy thing will amp up metabolism, and I know you can't feel it, but literally 2.2 million of these sold. I had a woman follow me in the grocery store today who recognized me and said, "I don't know if that thing works." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" I grabbed her by the hand and I said, "Come to my car. I'm going to change your life."
Mhm.
And she's like screaming, "This is amazing." And I'm like, there you go. Why would Forbes Riley put her name on something that wasn't spectacular? I don't care what it looks like. So I love the fact that a good portion of yours is mental, because the truth is, if you don't have your mind in the right sense, none of this makes sense. We just redid our kitchen. We just redid our Tupperware. And I'm not only we redid the cabinets, we redid the inside. We reorganized how we see our food in our refrigerator. I cleaned up everything and made it very current. We got this microwave, because I don't like microwaves, but this whole Tupperware system, and organized and beautiful, because there needs to be a level of how you approach everything that you do, your silverware, your dishes, the way you eat, because we eat a lot of vegetables. We eat a lot of things that are not as sexy as they used to be when I was, we're not animals on some level, but I wish we were. Because if you look at nature, all the animals in nature look the same. All the giraffes look like giraffes. Or even the elephants, who are large, look like other elephants. There's not like a skinny elephant and a bunch of fat elephants. It's an elephant. There's a lion. They all look exactly the same, except for chimps. Humans are like crayons. We come in a ridiculous amount of size, shapes, and colors. We're all over the place, but the size thing is insane because of what we eat. There's no lion that woke up and says, I think I want a second order of Chinese, or I'd really like some dessert. That doesn't exist. So we are, we have access. The problem, I think, now is that we have access to food, way too much food, and that food is not food. Actually, what do we eat? What do you eat? What do you recommend that we eat? If you're a normal, healthy, active person who wants to stay fit, what's the diet?
My recommendation is animal protein. I think that that's important for most people. I would say veggies and berries if we're going to focus on fruits. I'd say if you tolerate dairy, full fat dairy, not avoiding fats is key. So food that comes in its natural form from the earth, the way that it's supposed to look.
Well, but here's the problem with that. There's a
What?
new TV series out, and I watch a lot of movies on food, like You Are What You Eat. I star in one of them called not Super Size Me, which was about eating hamburgers every day. I did the raw alternative movie called Supercharge Me, about going raw for 30 days and what that does. And I worked with the woman who produced that, and it was very fascinating. And I'm, a big fan of doing everything for a little period of time. So if
Okay.
you want to go on a juice fast, if you want to go on a raw cleanse, go for it. Don't live that way all the time, because I am a meat eater. I'm the daughter of a butcher. What do I know? We used to eat raw meat. My mother would bring home raw hamburger. I'm like, you can't do that anymore. But my problem is, I just watched the movie, the new one on Netflix called You Are What You Eat.
Hmm.
They studied 21 sets of twins,
Hmm.
and they had plant versus animal. But the thing they did was talk about what's going on with the animals. Do you want chickens that are sitting in chicken farms eating their own feces? What do you do? Where do you get your meat?
I would say as much as you can naturally and locally sourced. We have we're lucky here in Asheville. There are local farms where we can go buy food. It's more regenerative farming, trying to get the best sources there. If we can afford, say, pasture raised, grass fed, then we will be better off and we'll be able to support our world and our animals a little bit more. Well, a
Well,
lot if we can, but we can only do what our budget allows.
Well, that is a problem. We can only do what our budget allows. Yes, we should all support local farmers and go to farmers markets. I think all of us, without a doubt, that's where you should be getting. And most, I talk to a lot of inner city kids who are limited budgets,
Yeah.
and pretty much the local convenience store for $1 candy bar is lunch.
Yes.
What do we do?
I would say even conventional raised meats is going to be better for the body than going off of the Snickers bar. I think if we really ate the amount that we need to eat to support a lean, healthy body, we would actually have a lot less waste.
Okay.
We waste so much. The food that we eat is such crap. It's so wasteful. It's filled with extra calories. All this excess fat weight that we've got on our bodies is waste. So if we actually ate the amount of foods that our body needs, and we try our best to focus on stuff that's more local, then our whole food industry would be much better off, and we'd be likely to be able to support those who can't afford
Well, but do you
the
get a sense that you're fighting an uphill battle? Every time I go out and I travel, I'm going to be traveling the entire month of February on the road, which is one of my greatest battles of what we eat. Obviously, there's much more nutritional things that you can do. Even in airports, everything has changed since I've been growing up. But everything comes with French fries. French fries, well, okay, let me start back up for a second. So I don't know if you know, but I spent 8 years of my life with Jack LaLanne. You know who Jack was?
I do.
Okay, and everybody will because Mark Wahlberg is playing him in a movie come April. I spent 8 years with him. We sold $1 billion worth of juicers, and I am still very close to his wife, Elaine LaLanne, who at 97 is still going strong. Who, by the way, said to me that her 60s were her best years. So I'm making sure that I don't miss that by saying, oh, I feel old.
Right.
That's important, right? And so the problem, though, is that people are bombarding us with crap food everywhere you go. Actually, what do you think what's the reasoning for this? Why do we want people to be obese and diabetic?
I mean, my belief is that our government doesn't necessarily want us to be the strongest and healthiest. I don't think that they have our best interest at heart. Sicker people and people who are dependent are a little bit easier to manage and regulate.
Everybody needs to just stop for a second and listen to what Dr. Ashley just said. Sicker people are easier to manage, to manipulate. Yes, they are. So maybe they're not doing it, but that would be such a shame if they weren't doing it in our best interest. I'd hate to believe that was true. And also, if you're sick, you take what?
Yep. You're on medications, you're dependent, you're not self-sufficient. When you look at how you operate when you just have a cold, I had a cold last week and you just can't operate at your peak potential. You can't reach your peak when you're not feeling well. And how many of us have type 2 diabetes? Over 100 million of us are pre-diabetic. Isn't that, it's unbelievable how many of us are so sick and so dependent. So I think it's taking away our self-sufficiency.
My daughter just came downstairs up in arms. She said that Germany right now is protesting about overcharging farmers and doing what this country has done to make food less available and not as healthy for you. So this is crazy. I mean, I've lived over in Africa and I've traveled through Europe. Eggs smell different or they taste different when you're in different countries. Meat tastes different. It's smaller portions. That's an interesting thing. When you get a slice of meat in Europe, it doesn't look like our steaks at all.
No.
Which sometimes a little bit disappointing because I'm used to that thick, juicy piece of meat. But you're like, you know what? Maybe this has not been a hormone stuffed cow and it might in fact be better and more nutritious for me.
The wheat, a lot of people can tolerate the wheat and the bread over there. And when they get over here, they develop autoimmune condition or bloating or weight gain. So it is a different beast for sure. We do not have the best food in the US.
My daughter just came back with her twin brother from Belize and Guatemala. They were gone for about 4 weeks. And she looked at, I don't know, when she was eating, she came home, wanted to eat something. She's like, Mom, I don't know that I can eat in this country.
Yeah.
That's going to be challenging. I don't buy bread anymore. We don't buy rice or pasta. We're running out. She literally said, I don't know what to eat anymore.
I know.
Because at some point, how many vegetables I know. Oh. So what's the solution? What do you do when you have a sweet tooth?
Well, so first thing is when you eat the way that your body wants you to eat, the sweet tooth is going to significantly reduce. And I know it's hard to believe. I even had a class probably last month and she said, I love chocolate cake. Are you telling me that when I eat this way that I won't want chocolate cake? And I said, that's what I'm telling you. And she said, I don't believe it. And I'm going to put it to the test. And so
but then you also give her this cocoa cream cheese thing or cocoa something that you can make a chocolate cake that is nutritious. You can mix it with avocado. There are recipes to make, because chocolate is not by nature bad for you.
It's true.
And that's one of the big things that I advocate. I love chocolate. And my dad, God bless him, he used to eat dark chocolate. And I tasted it, like, this is like eating, ugh. and I would eat Hershey's milk. Well, as I've gotten more sophisticated in my taste buds, I would never eat a piece of wax candy. Thank you, Hershey's. That's just disgusting what we do to ourselves. And then I went darker and darker in an effort to see if I couldn't figure this out. And I'm up to about 85% I can do and enjoy it. But also cocoa powder mixed with other things to make a flourless cake. Tell your client there's such delicious sweets because you should not be depriving yourself. There are nutritious sweeteners that you can make, like monk fruit and things that just feed your body. But we're not, I know we're not taught this. So it's people like you and me, Ashley, and my listeners on right now on Facebook, whether it's my Jessica, my Tess is out there, Karen is listening. We need to keep carrying this torch.
We do. And to know that like the major cravings that you have right now are not normal. It should not feel that way. I'd say the first step is getting the hormones where they need to be and eating in the right way that's unique for your body, where you don't have ravenous cravings for these sweet foods, decreasing the sweet tooth. And then if you really do want something sweet, just like you said, Forbes, creating alternative options for the body and don't result in blood sugar spikes and lows.
What do you think about the whole Ozempic move?
That's a big move, isn't it, right now, these days? You know, I know and understand that I'm a bit biased because I see hundreds of people drop weight and keep it off without these medications. I know that you can drop weight without doing these medications. I also understand that there are some people who just don't want to create a lifestyle change. And the only way that they're going to successfully drop weight is with a drug. The shame about the drugs is that you have to take them forever. It's not just that you take it for a certain.
Wait, I don't understand that. What happens when you stop? It just comes back?
Yes, because all it does is shift the metabolism in a way that makes you not hungry. It doesn't speed the metabolism, heal the metabolism. All it does is make it so that you feel pretty nauseous and you don't feel hungry at all, so you're going to eat less. When you eat less, you don't have much appetite for protein. And so what we're finding is that 30% of the weight dropped for most people is coming from muscle mass.
Oh,
Muscle
wow.
mass is key. It's the marker of longevity. It's our metabolic currency. And so these people are getting to be, way less, but now they've got a higher percentage of fat on there. So we're becoming fatter, but we're weighing less.
This is the same thing like the 1980s. Everything was low fat this and low fat that. Turns out it's not fat that makes you fat, but it's sugar. So they took out the fat and they loaded it with sugar and people got fatter during that time. Ooh. Well, this is your show. Ask me another question because I apparently have a lot to talk to you about.
Well, I want you to share with us how we manifest.
Okay.
What are the steps that we take? Where do we start?
Number one, grab a pen. This is the most important thing when it comes to manifesting. And then this other thing is called a piece of paper. I know a lot of texting people, 20 years old, they don't know what this is. But your handwriting, it has been proven, and I've studied this many times, especially in cursive, is different than block letters, turns out, but now no one knows how to write cursive, so you're all screwed. See, one of the ways I learned this, Ashley, is that I was doing a show. Lily Tomlin had given me the ability to do her one-woman show. It was 250 pages long, which is kind of a book like this, like it's like half this thick, that I had to memorize. Now, when I got the job, it was because I was a good actress and I could play characters and I was very versatile and I got all that. I was so thrilled. But then I looked at this book and thought, the first week of rehearsal, you have to mime everything, like miming brushing your teeth and miming putting on your mascara and washing your hair. That was chock full of all the talents I had, except by the end of the first week, I went to the director and I said, would you please fire me? This is ridiculous. I said, I don't care. He's like, but you're so good. I'm like, I know, but I can't memorize shit. I can't do this. I can't get like 5 words in my head. I will not be able to do this. I will embarrass everybody and myself. And he said, well, before you walk out the door, go see this friend of mine. And it was a hypnotist. I got there and thought, okay, I'm going to get hypnotized. Mm-hmm. And he said, what's going on? I said, well, I've got this play and I can't memorize it. He said, then go home. I said, excuse me? He said, if you can't memorize it. I said, I can't. He said, then go home. I said, all right, look, this is ridiculous. Why am I here? He said, well, because you got to believe that you can. I'm like, oh, come on, don't give me that mamby-pamby. It's that easy. If I believe I can, I will. He said, well, have you ever memorized anything? Have you ever done a play? Have you ever watched Beyonce do an entire 4-hour concert without a book? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so it's possible. I'm like, yeah. Same thing with weight. If you've never lost weight, but you've seen other people lose weight, it's possible, right? It's like, yeah. He said, well, then say that you can do it. And I literally stood up in this very snotty way and said, okay, fine, I can do it. He said, go home. I said, I'm sorry, what? He said, he said, just because you changed the words, you didn't change the intention. Can you think you could say that you really can? And I'm like, you know what, fine. I've done it before, I can do it. He said, okay, great. Now we've got somewhere to start. So getting someone to believe they can do whatever it is they set out to do. I believe I can travel on my own. I believe I can lose 30 pounds. I believe that I can be healthy. You got to believe that you can. Because I didn't write it, but it's true. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. So you start with a sense of writing this down. What is it that you want? What do you want to achieve? And then he said, this was a key for memorizing, but it unlocked something in my own brain about the way the human brain works. He said, in order to memorize a script, you write down the first line in cursive, you hook it, write it again, and the third time you write it in air. Do that with every single line. Now, Ashley, this was a 250-page book. It took me a little over 72 hours of just doing this.
Wow.
Do you know the play opened about 4 weeks after that? It ran for 8 months. I never missed a word.
Wow.
I found a door in my brain called the short-term memory door. I opened it up, I stuffed all this in there, and I closed it. And to this day, if you ask me to say a line from the show, I can maybe remember 3 lines out of the whole 2.5 hours. The last part of that was that he had me listen to a recording of me doing the role in the morning and at night. And that took 5 hours a day, just listening, 2.5 hours each, and it worked. So I started thinking about, how does the brain work? How do you create things? How do you change and shift your perception? 1, after you've got your pen in hand. 2, write this down. What do you want? I want. And I would write that down 100 times. What does that mean? Well, Ashley, will you play with me?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you the question, what do you want? You get to answer one answer at a time, no laundry list. So Ashley, what do you want? Say what I'm going to say. I want success.
Okay, I want success.
Okay. Okay, Ashley, what do you want?
I want to create impact.
What do you want?
I want my new supplement line to change lives.
What do you want?
I want to meet influential people and learn from them,
What do you want?
to reach my peak potential.
What do you want?
I want to raise healthy and stable kids.
Excellent. And you see how, so number 1, for everyone watching, you just went from a place of I have no idea to all the things that you want. And all of a sudden you were beginning to unlock this closet of what do you want to manifest in your life. I want beautiful, successful children. What you didn't say is I want success and respect in what I'm doing. I want to hit podcast. I want to meet Forbes Riley. I want to travel the world. Trust me, the list is a lot longer, but you struggled and agonized when you go back and look at this. That was beautiful to watch. And I would ask yourself, why did it take you so long? You know?
Yeah, I think I was trying to put it into words that would make sense for others.
Got it. Turns out that that's not the exercise. It's just what do you want? And no, but see, this happens to smart people. Smart people overanalyze, have analysis paralysis sometimes. Being smart doesn't necessarily win the game. Being street smart, being true to yourself, being authentic, those things are very important currency to have. I live with one foot in both worlds. And so now that you've uncovered, play the what do you want game. We do this in all my trainings, the what do you want? And we play it for 7 minutes. We push to the point where you're not allowed to say, I don't know. And you go hunting around and go, oh. So for example, Ashley, I've done this game many times. One of the times I did it about 20 years ago, I found myself saying, I want to go roller skating. I grew up roller skating. I love roller skating. And you know what I do with my kids to this day? I raise my 2 kids roller skating in a rink. And that's our go-to playtime. I found myself, it was a career-changing moment doing this exercise because I was an actress full-time. And one day I was doing the exercise and I said, I want every day for someone to tell me that I inspired them. And then I'm like, who said that? I don't want that, do I? Do I want that? Huh. And I sat with that for quite a while. It's why you and I are talking. Because I said, and I wrote that down. I said, I want every day for someone to tell me I inspired them. Huh. That meant that I had to go out and do a lot of things for other people, not being an actress, because actress is very selfish. Nobody says that to you. But when you teach others and you serve others and you help others, they say, wow, thank you. You inspired me. And that's been the greatest joy of my life. And it came out of the what do you want game. And so now, tonight in my mastermind, we're going to do a guided meditation. What does that mean? That means we all get quiet and we go on a journey inside of our heads. I've gone on lots of journeys in my life. And you've got to understand that your perception of the world is your perception. You can take a flashlight into a blacked out room and point it one way and see a pile of garbage and thought, oh, this is a terrible room. Or for the flashlight over there and there's a mound of gold. Both of you are right. You're in the same room. Your perspective is different.
Mm-hmm. So after you write it down and you do the I want game, what are the next steps to actually have the I wants to manifest?
Well, okay, it's the way you write it down. You don't write it down in the past. You don't write down I want. It's not the past and it's not the future. It is much more active writing. It's called scripting, technically is what it's called. I have a beautiful man in my life. Because I weigh 125 pounds and I am at 18% body fat, I rock the clothes in my wardrobe. I am excited to take photos and be on stage and speak about my success. I am living my very best life. I am the mother of 2 very successful children. I have 2 new books coming. I have all that. Now, whether it's that, here's the cool thing about your brain. Your brain, and it's studies that have been done, does not really know the difference between, ever cry at a movie, Ashley?
Yes.
Why?
Because my brain thinks it's reality.
That's exactly it. And it's not. If you logically said that's 2 actors up there with a camera and a movie set, and they don't even care about each other, and yet they're falling in love, it's not real. But you don't do that because your brain has this suspense of disbelief. It doesn't know. So if you keep telling it that you're a crappy person, one day it goes, guess what? We're crappy, or we're a klutz, or we're a procrastinator. But if you say, you know what? I'm an organized, fit, happy, healthy person. If you say that, your body will start doing things like getting up earlier, drinking more water, eating better food, because as a happy, healthy person, you must do happy, healthy habits. And that truly is all manifesting is visioning, believing, having a vision board. I mean, I did this. It's the funniest thing. I mean, I take it to the nth degree. I had a picture of Costa Rica all through COVID. I got a bug that said, I'm going to Costa Rica. I'd never been. I didn't know where it was. I didn't even know why I wanted to go, but everyone had loved it. I'm going to Costa Rica. And every chance I had, I said, I'm going to Costa Rica. The phone rings. And it is a 2-week invitation to a mastermind during COVID in Costa Rica. Turns out you could go there with a passport. You just had to, prove that you were negative or quarantine or whatever. My 2 weeks there spent into 2 months.
Did you love it?
Oh my God, I loved it. I've been back several times and happy to go buy a house there. I think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this thing about Dubai. Again, it was on the wall because I was literally doing this as an exercise. The phone rings. It's a guy going, hey, can we invite you for 2 weeks to come? First class tickets for me and your husband, you and your husband, staying at the Armani Hotel at the base of the Burj Khalifa, which turns out to be the world's tallest building. And I'm like, this is cool. This is really cool. I said to my daughter, I miss being in a movie. I really want to act again. Boom. Starring in a movie called Black. Guys, I don't know how quick this is. I don't know why. Now, here's the other thing, though. I'm telling you stories, and I have lots of them, about the speed of manifestation. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing you don't realize. I put in a little work to make that happen. It's not like somebody just calls out of the blue if you've never been a speaker and invites you to Dubai. I am a very credited speaker. I hadn't really thought about Dubai, but I have a lot of friends and a very big network. And so putting in the work and making it accessible, but I already had the dream. So the biggest question I have for everyone who comes to me about manifestation is, what are we manifesting and why? What do you want? How badly do you want it? And are you willing to work for it? You don't just sit home. It's funny. I say that, but partly you could just sit home. Well, but that's the funny thing, is that I have experiences where doing the work happened and I'm thinking about my neighbor across the street, Robert Gossett. Mm-hmm. He was one of my coaches. I got a lead in a TV series because of him. And he's like, you work too hard. I'm a hustler, man. I had 18 different jobs. I was raising 2 kids. I was acting. And he was sitting at home. I'm like, you go to acting class and you sit at home waiting for the phone to ring? Well, the crazy thing is the phone did ring and he got a $2 million a year TV series. I thought, I guess it does work. When I wanted to meet Joshua, I did not go to a bar. I did not go to Tinder. I just kept manifesting, literally thinking about, what does this man's arms feel like around me at night? When I look at him and I smile because I want this person to be on the red carpet with me. I had all of these thoughts about it and I kept talking about it. And then I was in a hotel room in Las Vegas doing a video shoot. My videographer said, "Hey, do you want to meet a 2-time Mr. Arnold Classic winner?" And I'm like, "No, I don't like bodybuilders. They don't like my little toys. They think I'm silly. Thank you very much." He invited him over anyway. And so it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So dream it, believe it, achieve it.
I found that it's the feeling state, like the way that we feel when we manifest and we feel at the same time. It's the universal language.
But why not? Do you know what else the universal language is? Do we have any idea? How do the trees come back? How do birds fly? There is so much more in this universe than you and I could ever comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people, I literally do this exercise. I said, "Here, watch. Do you believe in gravity?" Because I don't believe in gravity. I don't know why. I just don't believe in it. But it works even if I don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
So for all of you naysayers out there, manifesting works whether you believe it or not. So you don't need to be on the manifesting train. "Oh, I wanted that. Like Forbes said, I wrote it down and it just didn't happen. It doesn't work." Guess what? With that attitude, it would never work. So that's the little caveat that it's hard to explain to people. It's called the Santa syndrome. You don't believe, you don't receive.
Mm-hmm.
Get it? That's all I can say.
Do you really think that folks can manifest their way into a different state of health or a different weight?
Your health is your manifestation. You can talk to cancer patients, of which both my parents succumbed to, and there was something wrong. There is an emotional injury. It's either an emotional or a physical injury that tends to, and I'm not a doctor, so everything I say is my own opinion, okay? Although I am a doctor, but I'm a business doctor. If you've got an emotional issue and it's a sexual trauma, it's a sexual issue, and you see that people have manifested cancers in their sexual organs, think about it. Just think about it. If you get physically injured and cells don't heal right, that's an interesting precursor. I don't know why certain kids get cancer. I think certain people might be predisposed, and I'm sad about that. Mm-hmm. But there was a whole study done by Garcia about laughter and sickness. You can laugh your way out of sickness. By the way, it's very hard to do this, because if somebody diagnoses you with something and he's a doctor or she's a doctor and sounds like they mean it, then you start to believe that it's true. If somebody tells you you've got 3 months to live, your world changes. And it's very challenging for you to go, "No, that's not true. I'm going to live for the next 5 years." Those people are very far and few between who have the ability to believe so strongly to manifest that as a reality. But you can manifest almost anything. And to that end, you should walk around every day going, "I'm a healthy, happy human being. My cells are healthy." Because, by the way, I challenge almost everyone I've ever met. I've met tens of thousands of people and done all these exercises. I ask somebody about their body. The first thing they do is complain about the size of their thighs, their cottage cheesy, or "I don't like that." Great. Guess what? You can keep complaining about your body and the universe will take it away from you. So you have to be blissfully ignorant to manifest. Okay? Because it's not real. I'm predicting things in the future. A sane person's like, "Oh, you can't do that." Then don't do this. If you're too smart, this doesn't work either. Blissfully ignorant, going, I can be president of the United States. Do you know that there was a little black boy who said that from Hawaii who didn't have a dad? He said he could be president of the United States. I got to tell you, not in the US, that's not going to happen. And guess what Obama did? Mm-hmm. He imagined it. He manifested it against all odds, and it became true. And I look at that exact experience, or I look at Oprah, a woman who was raped, had a stillborn kid from the deep South, who was told she was nothing, goes on to be a billionaire. I don't think anyone gave that to her. I think that was her sense of belief that I'm meant for more. No matter what happened to me, I can do this. I belong here. And until you own that and see it, it just doesn't happen.
What tips do you have for people who haven't manifested before and are brand new into this? What would you?
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Here's the thing. If you are new to the world of manifestation, read. Read what others have written. Read some of the great works. I mean, I have to look at what my life is. I spent extensive amounts of months, many months, over many periods of time at an ashram. I spent time, and it was quite accident how I got there the first time, but I did what's called seva, and seva is the Indian word for work. You pretty much spend days being quiet, not speaking to anybody, which is very anti-American world that we live in. We live in a world of noise and chatter and social media. You go there and there's not only no phone, there's no talking, which I had a massive issue with, which brings up all of these things and all of these emotions. And then you chant a lot and you sit and you meditate a lot and you read a lot and you just go, what? Your mind goes and you come to understand that maybe you are more than what you see. Maybe you're more than the grades on the report card that you got or what your mom or dad or television or a bully told you. So my advice is to go on a journey, find out what this is all about if you want to. I mean, go on a journey. Go to a foreign country, go sit on a beach. I remember I used to work for Club Med, and I was sitting on a beach. I was 27 years old, sitting on a boat, and I didn't have a whole lot of money. I don't come from much money. Sitting on a boat, I was living in New York City at the time, struggling to be an actress. I was down there at Club Med, sitting on a boat, and I said to myself, Forbes Riley, because I talked to myself, if you ever get really sad, if you ever decide that you might want to leave the planet or suicide, whatever you might want to think, come here first. Make me that deal. Because what I'm looking at right now is so beautiful. It's not the reality in New York City. It's not the reality that's happening in Israel and Gaza right now. It's not the reality of what's happening in China. It's a beautiful blue ocean with dolphins and sunshine and people who just eat mangoes and live life. Don't forget that this exists. And I've always held that to be true. And I've traveled a lot around the world. But I remember I thought that was interesting because we all think that our reality and our pain and our debt and everything is just horrible. It's not. It's that you shining a light in different parts of your perspective. So travel, see other cultures. If you don't believe in manifesting and you don't think that you're lucky enough, go help a kid who's living in an orphanage here in the US. You want to see what sucky looks like? Sucky is having nobody love you, nobody knowing it's your birthday, nobody giving you a Christmas present because they love you. I know volunteers can come in, but I got to tell you, you are lucky you're lucky if you've got your fingers, your toes, your eyesight, your hearing. You're lucky if you don't have those things. I've got a friend of mine who's a motivational speaker, was born with no legs and one finger on one arm. He feels pretty damn lucky. But most people who have all of those things take all of that for granted. So I would step into being a human being on this planet and stop pretending that you want to be like other people. You're not. Social media has a purpose and a place. I get that. You and your body, let me tell you something. You deserve to be comfortable in this body. You deserve to eat great food, breathe great air, and look good and comfortable when you put on clothes. I have been heavier. I have been thinner. I will tell you, I personally like thinner. I feel a little sexier when there's no fat hanging over my body. But I also pushed out 2 twins at 42. And I don't know how Heidi Klum does it. I saw her at the Golden Globes the other day, man. And that's a problem because to look like that, and she's in her late 50s, early 60s, I'm like, damn girl, you have to fall in love with you. And I think there's definitely a movement about that. But I think the movement shifted a little bit too much, where any size is okay. Any size isn't healthy. Do you agree?
I agree.
That's a controversial subject for another day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We'll have to get into that.
I would love to get it. We may not have to get into that in public though, because I got to tell you, some of my opinions may not be publicly correct. And here's the problem. Whatever opinion you have, somebody will think you're wrong.
That's true.
So even if we think we're right, it doesn't much matter.
It doesn't
And
matter.
again, I'm not a doctor. What I am is a woman who's led a beautiful life of massive ups and downs, who firmly embraces the concept of manifestation with every fiber of my being, who has a happy relationship and 2 beautiful kids because of this concept of manifestation. And I'm going to continue to do this because I think if you're new to this world, you need to understand the world exists. If you're not online, you don't know that digital marketing is an easy way to make money. It's a new world, but I'm going to tell you it's a beautiful place to be.
Thank you, Dr. Forbes. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. I love the topic of manifestation. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, please review and follow us. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. And I want to hear your comments. Did any of this surprise you? What did you like? What didn't you like? Drop it in the comments below. Remember, you've got to step up to make the change. Lead with your heart, train your mind, and do not negotiate with your body. See you next time.